G'day and welcome to Torment Thursdays, where I'm going through the beta of Torment Tides of Numenera. This is your warning, there will be spoilers in this series. The beta is specifically based around the first part of the game, and it will include therefore story spoilers for the first part of the game. There are a bunch of things that are not complete. Hopefully they will be added as I go through this series. UI is functional but not finished. There are no merchants or stores, and so we'll just find more items, deal with that, and things may not be balanced. There'll be visual effects missing, all of that kind of thing. But hey, it should be fun. Let's start. My plan when playing this, by the way, is to try and test a very talky character that will literally try to surrender in fights. We'll see if it is viable. It's just one of the things I feel is a really good test for the crisis system. And here we go, yes. So the character system, you'll get a conversation window, and yeah. So this is, if you saw my Alpha Systems test video, we're going to see some relatively similar stuff to begin with. And yeah, in Numenera we have a character system which works off of a character is a blank who blanks. So a mythical nano who brandishes a silver tongue is one of the examples they give here, or mystical rather. And nano is a class, the mystical is a descriptor, and the focus is brandishes a silver tongue. And they all impact what kind of things you get as you play. So we're going to go for something. We'll probably try and go with brandishes a silver tongue. We'll see what we get. I will be a male exile.
Your mind wakes in darkness. Aching cold sets into an unfamiliar body. A distant howling surrounds you, louder with each passing second.
I'm glad to got this
hands
visual.
Tear at the membrane that protects you.
Mm-hmm.
Your first emotion is an involuntary and formless panic. You feel you have forgotten something important, as if it once meant the world to you. But the details slip away as you grasp at them. You force your eyes open. The body is... wait, you are wearing a form-fitting suit of some dark material. You recall that you were wearing something much more elaborate a short time ago. You have smooth, light brown skin, 5 fingers on each hand, 5 toes on each foot. Good muscles, strong but not bulky, and slim hips. Your palms are soft, as if they have not done much labor, but scars and burns on the hands and wrists suggest that you haven't always been careful. Why can't you remember this? Without warning, the cocoon that surrounds you shreds and tears away. You are falling. The world is many kilometers below you.
Let's go with a kind of character that will immediately try and do something about this.
You spread your arms and legs, and they respond sluggishly. You stop tumbling head over heels. Though you are still spinning laterally, that motion has calmed as well, and you have space to assess your situation, and perhaps to understand the predicament and the body in which you find yourself. Below you, you see a large landmass. A massive ocean dominates the rest of the visible globe, dotted here and there with island chains. Small moons, unusual structures, and strange machines rush past you in glittering profusion as you plummet toward the ground.
You are studying the
Now you see
world.
that this appears to be a huge megacontinent, the only land of any size on this side of the world at least. Great inland seas and lakes dot the land, and curiously, regular mountain ranges march up and down and across. You are falling toward what looks to be a great bay, a sprawling city perched on its shore just to the north. Further to the north and east, you see a broad plain scattered with curious structures, visible even from this height. The northeastern portion of this land looks to be a desert, a strange blue dot like an eye in its exact center. It seems to hold a city in its watery grasp. To its west is a ring of huge mountains surmounted by enormous carved peaks spewing magma into a central catch basin. What concerns you most right now is the bay below you. It's coming at you quickly.
Let's try to slow the descent even
You've
more.
reached a velocity that could, without irony, best be named terminal. You spread your arms and legs and try to catch a draft, and it looks like you'll hit the bay that's rushing toward you, unless you hit the building in its littered waters. A strange web of colors surrounds you, thrown by a figure standing on the balcony of the structure, but it is effective only at slowing your fall. You strike the building hard enough to crack its crystalline structure, and you hear one of the engines that supports it protest and howl, and the agony of the crash overcomes you, and then...
I still really wish there was at least some kind of map or some representation of the Earth rather than just the whistling. And here we are. You fell. You remember falling towards a curve of the world. The ground leapt up to claim you. Impact. You should be dead. If so, this is a strange death. There's no peace here, and your mind aches, struggling to form simple thoughts. This doesn't seem like death, nor any kind of life you recognize. Okay, so move the camera with WASD, click around. I should note that my computer is a couple of generations older than the recommended specs for this game. So, it may be a bit laggier than it should be. I've tried dropping the resolution to try and compensate for that, but we'll see how we go. Jumbled thoughts cloud your head as you study the empty bowl before you. Drops of liquid fall from the ceiling, splattering on the ground next to the bowl. The light from every drop is reflected in the bowl's rounded hollow, as if it hungers for that light and needs to be filled, yet the bowl remains dry. Another drop falls from the ceiling and splashes across the pylon, wasted. Leave the bowl alone. What happens if we walk under the drops? Can we? Nope. You cannot interact with that. This is literally, you will deal with the bowl. Okay. So, you trace your fingers over the slippery, overlapping scales that spiral up from the bottom of the bowl. The sharp-toothed rim plucks at your skin. It's going to be tricky to move this bowl without slicing your fingers on the edge. You might have to put some effort into it. Reflected light streaks across the surface of the bowl as another droplet falls from the ceiling. So if you want to move the bowl, it's a might test. We've got might as one of these three columns here. And we'll do that. So, it uses might, and you can see the level of effort. So this is challenging. So this is, we use no effort. It's a challenging task, and I guess we've got a slightly better than 50% chance of doing it. If we use one effort, we use up 2 of our might, which is used in any might checks, but also kind of in combat. And but it becomes moderate, and we have a better chance of doing it. And we've thoroughly investigated the bowl, which reduces our difficulty. And so yeah, we need to roll 6+ on a d20, and we'll spend that effort. I'm glad that it explains these, because it didn't before. Okay, so then how do we actually tell it to go, though? Yep. Sure. Okay, there we go. Critical success, which I believe is beat it by 10 or more. You carefully take hold of the bowl, avoiding the teeth on the serrated rim. With a deep breath, you move it over to the glowing pool of fallen light. Kind of silly that, yeah, like, we're actually stuck in the bowl. Not sure we're meant to be standing where we are. There we go. Drop by drop, the bowl fills, ripples spreading over the blurred outline of your reflection. A pale blue luminescence stretches into the corners of the room. A clear radiance spills across the segmented floor, washing away the nearest shadows and pouring into your mind, melting the ragged edges of your fragmented thoughts. You are not whole, not yet, but you've begun to heal from the damage done in your long fall. A voice calls out from somewhere high above, beyond the reaches of the spreading light.
Hello? Oh, Skist, you're dead, aren't you? No, that can't be right. If he were dead, I would be too. Can you hear me? I can't hear anything.
I can hear you.
There?
Right.
Well, if you can hear me, it means you're still alive.
Who's talking to us?
That, wouldn't you? Look, I'm just going to assume we're both alive and want to stay that way, all right? So here's what you have to do. I can't get to you, so you need to build a way up to me. I don't know how you're gonna do that. I mean, this is your mind. It's not like I have...
So someone is talking to us in our mind.
Ah, this is your mind. I bet your memories are down there. Find them, and you'll repair the path up to where I am. What was that?
So,
I can't
okay.
tell what's real here. Look, build a path up. Then we can face this mess together, and you won't be alone. I won't be alone.
Cool. Let's give this a go. The voice fades into it until it passes into inaudibility. Blank oppressive silence falls, split only by the soft hum of new pylons rising from the depth. Now we can get off this island. They haven't changed this much from the Alpha Systems test, which is fine. Like, it worked fine as an Alpha Systems testing. If I failed that check, it still would move, but it would end up red. I don't know what the impact is on that, but you know. The air thickens with each step you take towards this watery orb, and whispering voices flit across one of the countless aching gaps in your mind. This must be one of the memories you were told to find. Two figures swim down through the orb as though it's a fathomless ocean. One vanishes into the ebony depths before you can study it. The other, a male, seems to be struggling, or perhaps drowning. You realize that, like the swimmer, you cannot breathe. Let's try to rescue the swimmer before he drowns. And we can make it easy, or we can use moderate. Let's just keep using all of the effort. I'm sure that will not cause us any problems. Permanently gain 2 speed pool. Maximum speed pool is now 11. Success! You plunge your hand into the orb and catch the tiny swimmer. Surprisingly strong muscles flex against your palm and the swimmer pulls you through the breach. As he does, you feel faster. Something about this place causes even your smallest choices to shape who you are. As you plunge into the water, a memory floods your mind. Okay, that's cool to have at least an effect. You stand in front of a rusted door. The air is humid and dank. You've had a moment's respite from this waterlogged hell, a bubble of stale air by your resting point. You've breathed water before and you've lived decades beneath the waves, but this body is an air breather and the constant pressure has been crushing you ever so subtly. Worse, your companion's mind is wandering from the task at hand. He's a genius with machines, as you well know, but now he seems distracted. Let's go with... deceive him by telling him you've heard sounds of pursuit. Your words echo clearly and he looks up, surprised, as you cut through his indecisive gaze. He grimaces and says, "Alright, we'll be through the door before they catch up." His fingers make minute adjustments to the knobs and blinking levers of the device. The stale air of your bubble freshens as the door swings open. A dark hallway lies beyond, a passage that links the water-bordered cells and the aquatic viewing areas. What you seek lies there. An electric current runs through your fingers as your hand crosses the vertical plane of the pedestal, and an iridescent field coalesces so fast that the wave of pressure dazes you for an instant. The rising pulse of a sonar alarm ripples through the water. The guards won't be far behind. Let's use the device to stop them, one of the ciphers in my belt. Run urgent fingers over the devices fastened to your waist, a fog rising in your mind. A few can be used against the guards, but will also turn your skin to synth steel or surrounding water to boiling wax. Hardly ideal. Finally, you find a small silver sphere. Setting the sphere in place, you kick desperately for the safety of a nearby alcove. The sphere whirls and unfolds into a spiraling vortex. The sphere at its center speaks a few polite words in an ancient language, then begins to drain the surrounding water into itself with alarming speed. The approaching guards shout, then scream, as they too are sucked into the whirlpool and ripped to pieces. You allow yourself a fleeting smile, but are all too aware of more alarms going off in the distance. There's something else, a gust of sour air pulling at you, like a predator inhaling the scent of its prey, at the far end of a dark, whispering field. Yeah, definitely still pretty laggy for me. Let's get this next memory. Okay, this orb, this memory resembles an iron masked face. It turns to face you with cold disdain. Mechanisms spin and mesh beneath the gleaming surface, and an ominous ticking sound begins, getting faster and faster. Two cold facts emerge from your mental gap this memory once occupied. ticking does indeed mean the device will soon explode and you have no one to blame but yourself. This trap is yours, built to protect the memory within. Don't remember how to open the device. Perhaps that will disarm the trap as well. Intellect. Easy. So easy means that we're talking minus 3 difficulty. 3 plus. Let's do it. Critical success. Permanently gain 2 int pool. Max int pool is now 11. You focus, shutting out the racing ticks of the device, and you see hands reaching out, gently cupping the sides of the orb like an upturned face. You feel the connections in your mind increasing, strengthening. You touch the orb in the same way, and the mechanisms within grow still as the warmth of the memory races up your arms and into your mind. You stand beside a woman on a verdant crag. Beneath the two of you is a broad declivity, a flat-bottomed bowl riven by a wide chasm. Moss-covered arches provide natural ingress and egress for the light, and a broad golden disc gleams up from the floor of the valley. The self-aware humanoid machines drill into the base of the cliffs below. If you're looking for sanctuary, and you were, desperately, this seems like the right place. I don't know about any of this, the woman says, her voice flat, neutral. Her face is turned away from you. What makes this place any more secure than the others we've found? Let's go with... use your charm to convince her of the merits of the site. After a few minutes, a cloud passes over the sun as you engage her in spirited, friendly debate. After a few minutes, she laughs, raising her hands in mock surrender. Stop, stop, your servitors are down there. You've already chosen this as a site, haven't you? She waits for your confirmation and says, Alright, I'm convinced. The two of you sketch your plans for the sanctuary, drawing schematics and architectural diagrams. Then you descend into the valley to examine the open ground. But your companion helps you rise with laughter in her eyes. It seems your construct has other ideas. What's the matter with it? Let's go with... look for a deeper solution. Perhaps it's an effect of the mystic metals nearby. Fog oozes into the valley as you wrap a fiber shielding mesh around the construct's skull. The mesh powers up, protecting the construct's mind from any transdimensional emissions that may be in the area. Taking a deep breath, you repeat your command. Acknowledged. It obediently trundles to the site of your new shelter. The image freezes and then fades as you feel the memory filling the gap in your mind, block by jagged block. You stagger, clutching your head. The spectral voice didn't warn you that reclaiming your memories would hurt so much. And once more, there's something else. Hairs lift one by one on the back of your neck. Something beyond this room can sense what you're doing and is hunting you. And we can't do anything with this. No sign or symbol tells you what might be behind this enormous door. A dull chill radiates from its bronzed, segmented surface. Thick wheel seems frozen into place. I think we will be back here in the future. And here's the last memory, if I recall correctly. Rule of 3 in all. Your fingers are twitching, your mind races, each blink sends branching streams of white fire across the inside of your eyelids. You can't deny, you feel stronger, sharper, more whole than when you landed here. Captive light swirls mockingly beneath the surface of the orb before you, obscuring shadows, memories behind it. You need to claim them somehow if you're to be free of this place and find your companion. So I can crack the orb or coax the shadows, and I'm going to go for intellect in this. And I'm once again going to use effort to do this. Boom! Success! Now I've got an even higher intellect pool. Admittedly, I still have 9 because of how all this works. Like, the max pool's growing. I assume I still have 9? I could have less. We'll see. Success. Your confidence grows. Speaking quietly, you call a slender shadow to the surface of the glass and into the light. It's a young woman bound in chains of sorrow. She speaks quietly of a memory. You lean in, closer and closer, until her whispered words fill your mind. A vision of a city springs up around you. Your city, in flames and under attack. Her defenders have fought and died all day, and still the attackers keep coming. They fight as if your destruction were demanded of them. They care nothing for mercy, surrender, or plunder. What they want is blood. You've brought a keen-eyed companion to the top of the tower. She's seen a way to stop the invaders. You need to get her to safety and to rally your defenders. One is a but even as you turn towards the door, two of the attackers descend from a hovering machine. You don't have time to strike at them before they land. One is brutishly large, his weapon a vibrating axe. The other is slim, sheathed in glassy armor, and holding a hilt with a sizzling, invisible blade. Your companion backs away. She's too young to help. Your enemies advance single file, confined by the parapet. Let's go with fight defensively and figure out who presents the greater threat. The memory seems crystal clear. The giant is menacing, it's true, but the invisible blade of his companion is more worrisome still. The energy field that flickers and wavers around it suggests that she can carve matter at the molecular level, tearing pieces of her target into nothingness. You gotta save yourself. The best bet is to tackle her first. She's stuck behind the giant, waiting her turn to attack you, unable to bring her weapon to bear until he's out of the way. But it's clear she expects him to handle you, and her eyes roll behind you, her focus on your ward. She's certainly not expecting you to dive between the giant's legs and come up inside her guard. She can't bring her blade to bear in time, and you drive your dagger up under her chin. You catch her before her deadly blade drops onto you and spin her around. The weapon slashes into the giant. He topples, bisected. The immediate threat ended. You focus on finding a way back to your allies. You open the tower door and rush down the stairs. The door at the base of the stairs is slightly cracked, opening just a little bit into the hall, and you hear more of the enemy soldiers beyond. Let's go with crack the door open to sneak past them. Again, we're trying to avoid confrontation where possible. Press yourself against the gleaming door, easing it open. Your breath catches in your throat as it squeaks quietly. The sound like a bell in your memory. You pause, but the soldiers down the hall continue to talk. You push again, squeezing yourself through the narrow opening, creep down the hall, blood-stained hall. Whoops, I accidentally clicked through the end of that. Anyway. There we go. We're approaching what was the end of the very first Alpha Systems test. Here's the mirror. The border of this mirror is lavishly decorated with a dizzying number of interlocked symbols, daggers, masks, paintbrushes, amulets, and more. But that's nothing compared to what you see in the glass. You see a vast crowd of people, exact doppelgangers of you, shoving, arguing with, and fighting each other. Most are drab imitations of you, but a precious few are vivid and pull at your attention. Each of them bears an intricate pentagonal tattoo on their forehead. In their eyes, their actions, you see the memories you discovered within the orbs and the choices you made, shining like distant stars. Your hand immediately twitches at your side, and the some of the bright doppelgangers ignore you, and even smaller number turn to you, waiting for you to choose between them and learn what you might become. Rumble shakes the room, and a slow vibration spreads from the darkness below towards the ceiling. And you can't go back to the previous conversation. Okay. So, we will go with... point at the doppelganger with the charming smile. The doppelganger swaggers out of the crowd, speaking in a warm, sincere voice, tells you an outrageous story punctuated with confident asides, emphatic gestures, and twists that defy your every expectation. Though you're almost certain this tale is packed with lies, you'd be hard-pressed to separate them from the truth. The doppelganger finishes its story with a flurry and waits for your decision. Yes, that is who I am. And lag. I think there's meant to be an effect or something here. Ah, right. Restored to might, to speed, and 4 intellect. And gain descriptor. Charming. Your decision rings out into the cavernous room, awakening and unlocking vast mechanisms behind the walls. Suddenly a grotesque noise rings through your shared world like a bell if bells could rut. This place, your mind is under attack. Remaining doppelgangers scatter for the edge of the mirror and vanish. Untroubled, your chosen identity steps out of the rippling glass and into you, filling you, making you whole. Hence the restored points. The mirror fades, leaving a dark, open hallway. You take a deep breath and step through. And that was the end of Alpha Systems Test 1. Attacking is rarely the only solution to a crisis. Try interacting with objects in the environment or talking to your foes. That's the plan. The pinprick of light you followed in the dark passage suddenly opens wide. There's no sense of transition. One step you're in the dark, the next you are here. You're in some kind of mystic laboratory. Machines gleam all around you, seemingly incomprehensible data swirling around them like motes of light. 5 large tanks stand out, each one containing a shadowy form, none of them human. A spectral figure stands in front of you. Everything about the Spectre seems dreamlike. He's a hazy silhouette of green glass smoke, wearing stylish, well-cut clothes. His jade eyes are fixed on you. His handsome, bearded face seems hauntingly familiar, though to the best of your recollection, you've never seen him before. Claps you warmly on the shoulders. Skist, you've made it. Listen, I know you've got a dozen questions, but not through the worst of it yet. If you want to survive, you have to attune yourself. It's a process that, well, it's hard to explain, but I'll walk you through it. Earlier, did you say we were in my mind? I don't know what else to call it. This isn't the real world, obviously, but everything you do here seems to change things. I think you can change the real world too, but you have to get out there to find out. Who are you? Well, you might call me a composite, like a mishmash of your thoughts and memories and everything. I remember some things you don't, just like you know some things I don't remember. You made me when you hit the ground. Of course, you didn't mean to make me, but here I am. Why are we in a hurry? A fall didn't kill you, right? But there's something else after us. Something way more deadly than a high-velocity fall to the ground, if you can believe that. We have to wake up so we can stop it, or at least get away from it. What's after us? It's called the Sorrow. Look, can we talk about that later? This attunement is important for both of us. Alright, how do I get attuned? See those tanks there? Each one's got a creature that's attuned to one of the tides. The tides of Numenera, if you will. You need to attune to them. And that'll attune you to each tide. I tried it myself while I was waiting for you. I couldn't do anything except watch them. I suppose that means this is your show. What are they're in stasis, in a kind of temporal loop. I think all you need to do is join them, hook up their mind with theirs, and make a decision for them that ends the loop. You should do what you want, by the way, not what they want. That's the whole point of this thing, to define you, to do character creation for you. What are the tides? It's a jar of memory after opening there. The tides are a force, right? Like gravity or magnetism or something. But they respond to people's actions, and there are 5 of them. Like the 5 creatures here. Let's see. There's a blue tide, that's about reason and wisdom and stuff. Red responds to passion and action. Indigo, that one's about community and greater good. And gold is like individual good, compassion and sacrifice. There's one more. Silver, that one's about admiration and power. Changing the world. Alright, I'm ready. Great, let's do this. So this would be... First, this tank appears to contain a dense, jumbled mass of sharp-edged onyx. Only when a cluster of eyes flickers beneath the slick membrane that you realize you're looking upon the oily carapace of a huge insect. Nichalsic. Your memory whispers, compressed into a tiny space. A flood of bubbles rises from the bottom of the tank, bearing you with them into the depths of the creature's mind, seeing what it sees. Your young host clutches the steaming haunch of meat and crouches with the other hunters, shivering with outrage. Like the rest of the tribe, she is starving, and the pack elder does not care. Flexing scarred talons, the elder unfolds above them and demands that its hunter turns over all of their kills. Again! To honor him. Your host makes a sound like grinding glass at the back of her throat. The pack will not turn on its elder unless someone rises first. Her legs flex beneath her. Examine the Nichalsic. Designate Nichalsic. Intelligent insectoids with a strong affinity for the indigo tide. This creature does not merely place its society above its own well-being. It places the collective above the well-being of every Nichalsic. Any number might be sacrificed to overcome an existential threat to the group. Only Elder and Nichalsic are vulnerable to self-indulgent pride. Okay, let's go with convince the Nichalsic to reason with the pack elder. The hunter's outrage melts into a calm serenity that fills her language ducts and billows from her pheromonal slits. She rises from her servile crouch, speaking with a mixture of sense and claw gestures. The elder's pride falters and he focuses on the packs. He sees the unhealed wrists from the graying carapaces, their chipped claws, Tangible clouds of shame radiate from his powerful frame as he leans down to return his hunter's kills. Feel the tides embrace and flow through you. Back in the strange laboratory, 5 hulking, smoking creatures bound on the platform, sucking at the air with crackling snarls. The sour dread in your gut recognizes them for what they are, hands at the being that hunted you while you regained your memories, fragments of the sorrow. 4 of them lunge into the machines connected to the remaining tanks, wreaking chaos on the delicate innards. The 5th fragment focuses its eyeless gaze on you and your ally. Oh no, it's found us. The sorrow is here. So basically, you don't actually get to attune with each of the tides. You just get one. Those fragments, you got to get them to those out of control panels before you can attune. Here, this should protect you. I'll be fine. Yeah, I'll be fine. Okay. Now, right, so here we have an actual fight. I can't use the tanks, but you can keep these monsters off you. Better me than you, I guess. So this is turn-based combat. So right now, it has to be the Spectre. Spectre can run up and punch him, grueling, which is fairly difficult, or it can examine and interact with this fella. Nope, interact. I told you I can't do anything but watch. You gotta do the tuning yourself. Okay, I was hoping he could do something here. Chains of pure oxygen. Okay, well, that's a pity. Last cast-off's turn. So that's, you have to do a tuning here. I punched this. Right, it's super hard. Gotcha. Nevagin. Ah, right. So if I run up and deal with this one. Creature in this tank shudders and bubbles, obscuring. Shudders and bubbles obscuring its glowing eyes. Thin, flickering fibers emerge from the tank but dissolve before they can make contact with the temples. One of the creatures has infected the nearby machine and is preventing you from making contact with the creature's mind. Your gaze falls onto the buzzing cables between the tank and the nearby machine. Fragment's presence has contorted them into painful shapes. Perhaps removing it will ease the creature's mind, allowing you to enter it. Examine the creature. Do we get the same thing? Ah, designate Nevagin, biomechanical organism with strong affinity for the blue tide. Despite its insatiable curiosity, the Nevagin displays an uncanny calm and serenity. It will exchange knowledge for new ciphers or artifacts to examine. Without any indication of greed or goal, they seem single-minded, but so at peace with their pursuits that failure never angers them. So where's its machine? Oh, there. We'll run up to it. Ah. Requires action, yeah. Sorrow fragments turn. Bah. Uses charge up, and Spectre's turn. So he can rest, he can blast, and he can mark. Which is basically force it to attack you. So we hit him. And I think we just run up this way. The key thing is we push this, interact. We will just try moderate task of pulling it out. Success. The cables do not pull easily. The malignant tension spiraling through the cables fights for every millimeter, coiling and straining against any effort to untangle them. Finally, the cables lie unbent on the ground with the creature's struggles ease as it returns to its peaceful slumber. The creature's ready to be connected with now. The sorrow fragment that was infesting this device takes form with a sizzling growl. Gained item. Tidal capacitor. Okay, and so now tendrils of luminescent darters snake from the tank and stream into your temples. The room fades in flaring stripes as you enter the mind of the creature in this tank and see what it sees. I destroyed the ancient Kra, the head murmurs. I sought words of destruction, sealed in a forbidden tome. I could not help it, but once known, the words that spoke themselves to the 8 rulers of the Kra, turning them on each other. The great Kra melted like wax in the wars that followed, but I, imprisoned, could not burn with it. Even now, the words wish to be spoken. Alright, also, context. Nevajin is in a dark cave, listening intently to a stone head embedded in the wall before it. Nevajin leans forward hungrily. What will we do? Examine the Nevajin. Right, so I actually can't do anything this time. They are charging up. You head over here with your movement and Spectre Blast. Boom. Push it back, stunned. Fantastic. So now the last cast-off can actually do this. Only ask, and I will give voice to the 8 abominable words that filled Kra's Clearwater Wells with swarming shadows and strangled her towers until they fell. Ask, and they will gleefully claim you as well. Let's indulge the Nevajin's curiosity, allowing it to learn everything it can from the scholar. The helpless scholar says 8 beautiful alien words that strike the Nevajin's mind, fastening to its thoughts like the swarming, thorn-colored vines concentrating through the pain. The Nevajin asks the weeping scholar the first of many questions about the lost Kra. Later, the Nevajin leaves the cage with the words bulging within it. Believes that it's discovered such interesting secrets. Warmth spreads through you, lighting tidal channels in your mind. You lean against the tank to catch your breath, eyeing the remaining creatures in the tank. You need to be swift to avoid the Sora fragments hunting for you. And then we spend the rest of our actions running. And you can double move. While the last cast-off continues this basic strat. Alright, so that allows you to do that. Okay. Last cast-off. What is happening here? I think you are doing something strange. Yep, that's fine. Leave. Can I move, please? That's really annoying. I guess I'll end turn here. What? End of crisis. Yeah, sure. That's fine. I just want to end turn. Okay, let's just actually examine the creature. Designate Tusk's Grothus. Nomadic creatures with a strong affinity for the Silvertide. Pack leaders demonstrate limited psychic abilities, including teleporting itself or one other once per day. Packs will only follow leaders that display not only strength, but absolute superiority. A duel between rivals, once begun, cannot be ended until one of them is either defeated or dead. Examine the Grothus. It's the same thing, so yeah. Cool. You appear to be stuck. Okay. Gothus, examine. So basically, at this point, the game is a bit completely broken. Why do you not want to do anything? Yeah. Okay, I managed to end turn somehow. Spectre's turn. So we can't actually hit one of the specters. We can hit this one. Right? And we can't fight that one. So we gotta end turn. Last cast off. Thank you. What is going on? Seriously. So basically, yeah, I think we've just screwed this up. I think we're literally stuck. Like, I think I'm gonna have to replay up to this point and get back to this because the game is broken. Just do a brief bit of experimentation with the interface. Wow, it's whatever I'm doing really slows the game down. But I think we're gonna have to leave it for here. Unfortunate to leave it on technical difficulties. This is a character sheet. Charming cast off. No other details available. Party inventory. We can also look at the Spectre, who is a hardened nano. And we can go to settings. Can't save. Would load what? Nothing. So yeah, I'm gonna have to replay this to get to a point where we can actually do something. Because this is busted. Yeah, I can't move, I can't get anywhere. I think it's just broke. So I'm gonna have to deal with it some other time. Join me next time. It's a beta. These things happen. So we will have to deal with it in the future. Bye.